I never imagined that an ordinary day would be punctuated by a revelation so jarring it would turn my entire world upside down. It all began on a drizzly Wednesday afternoon when I was tucked away in the quiet corner of my favorite local cafe. I had been immersed in the soft clatter of conversation and the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee, feeling, as I often did, that life was predictable and comfortably mundane. I was scrolling through my messages on my phone, an everyday habit, when a notification appeared that didn't belong to any known contact. The alert read simply, "New alert, luxury dinner booking confirmed, venue, La Nuit Exquise." At first, I assumed it was a glitch, a misdirected message sent by a friend as a prank. But as I swiped through, more messages followed, each one a discreet confirmation from a mysterious app one had never installed. There were alerts confirming hotel check-ins at plush, high-end establishments, reminders of gourmet dinners at secret venues, and even updates about exclusive invitations for events that promised an escape from the everyday. My pulse began to quicken as I stared at the screen. I had no recollection of setting up any such account, yet here they were, meticulously logging a series of transactions and rendezvous that spoke of opulence, intimacy, and a world that I had always silently admired from afar. I sat back in my chair, my mind reeling with questions. How could I be receiving these alerts? Were they truly meant for me, or had someone mistakenly linked their life to my phone? The messages were oddly specific. They included dates, times, and even hints of locations that, upon later reflection, matched some of the nights I had once spent in a daze of anonymity, nights I had only vaguely remembered as fleeting escapes from my otherwise ordinary existence. A chill ran through me as the realization dawned that perhaps my secret life, one of midnight wanderings and whispered trysts, was being recorded in a way I had never understood until now. I left the cafe in a daze, the autumn rain mingling with the tears of confusion and reluctant excitement. The city streets were slick and shimmering under streetlights, each reflective puddle echoing my internal turmoil. I walked with purpose yet uncertainty, retracing my steps and mentally reviewing the timeline of events in recent months. Had I, in my moments of loneliness and rebellion, set in motion a pattern of secret indulgences that I had forgotten? Or was someone else pulling the strings behind this mysterious cascade of alerts? When I returned home that evening, I locked my apartment door behind me with a heavy heart. I sat at my small desk, the only light coming from the soft glow of my computer screen and a single desk lamp. I opened a fresh document in my journal app and began to write down every detail I could recall, every sensation, every flicker of memory that might explain these perplexing notifications. I recalled nights when, driven by a mix of curiosity and desperation, I had roamed the city after midnight, finding solace in the anonymity of high-end hotels and chic, hidden restaurants. I remembered the rush of adrenaline as I slipped into a plush suite, the gentle clink of fine silverware as I dined alone in secret corners of lavish establishments. At the time, I had dismissed these moments as escapes, brief departures from an existence that felt too safe, too routine. Now, they were coming back to me with startling clarity, each one validated by the app alerts I was now receiving. The next morning, I awoke before dawn with a heavy, lingering sense of disorientation. The misdirected message had shattered the carefully maintained boundaries between my public self and the private parts of my soul that yearned for excitement. I found myself sitting by the window with a cup of black coffee, staring out at a city that looked different somehow, more mysterious, as if it too harbored secrets beneath its polished exterior. I scrolled through the alerts on my phone, reading the confirmations once more. Dinner at La Nuit Exquise, hotel check-in, the Imperial, exclusive invitation, midnight gala at LaSalle, and others, each one whispering of nocturnal escapades that had once been my clandestine reality. Haunted by the realization that my past had been far richer and more complex than I had ever allowed myself to believe, I resolved to dig deeper. Over the following days, I began to piece together the fragments of my hidden history. I reviewed old text messages, scanned through my photo gallery for any hints of glamorous nights, and even consulted my bank statements to see if there were unexplained charges for upscale dining or luxury accommodations. Each clue painted a vivid picture, a pattern of secret app alerts and discreet transactions that charted a parallel life, a life lived in the margins of daylight and responsibility. The more I uncovered, the more conflicted I became. Part of me felt betrayed by the notion that I had somehow let these experiences slip through my conscious grasp. Another part of me, however, was exhilarated by the recognition that I had once dared to live boldly, daring to indulge in the forbidden, to chase a fleeting spark of passion even if it meant compromising the safe facade I maintained. I began to question whether these midnight trysts had been acts of rebellion against a life that had grown too predictable, or whether they were the suppressed manifestations of my innermost desires. I wondered if I had subconsciously created a dual identity, one that allowed me to experience luxury and intimacy when the world around me demanded conformity and restraint. One rain-soaked evening, driven by a mix of trepidation and a need for catharsis, I visited a familiar upscale hotel in the heart of the city, the Imperial, a name that rang with grandeur and discreet elegance. As I stood in the lobby, surrounded by marble and muted chandeliers, I recalled the nights I had once spent wandering its halls, checking into its lavish rooms under assumed names. I approached the front desk and, hesitantly, inquired if there were records of reservations made under variations of my name. The receptionist, a woman with kind eyes and a measured tone, leaned in and said, "Some nights leave traces that we cannot entirely erase. There are records of bookings that match your description, but they are cloaked in subtle modifications. I'm sorry, but I cannot divulge more without proper authorization." Her words, cryptic yet gentle, sent a shiver through me. It was as if the hotel itself guarded the secrets of my nocturnal adventures. That encounter left me both disturbed and strangely comforted. I realized that I was not alone in this hidden life. There were institutions, systems, and perhaps even other people who played their part in maintaining the delicate veil of secrecy. Yet, the ultimate question remained, who was behind these misdirected app alerts? Were they the product of a sophisticated algorithm that had tapped into my dormant desires? Or was there someone, an unseen benefactor or an old acquaintance, deliberately guiding me toward these experiences? Desperate for answers, I turned to the only person I trusted with the complexities of my inner world, my closest friend, Lydia. We had always shared an unspoken bond, a mutual understanding of each other's struggles and secret yearnings. Over dinner at a modest restaurant on a quiet street, I cautiously recounted the series of events, the mysterious alerts, the flashbacks to hidden nights, the inexplicable charges, and my own feelings of disquiet mixed with exhilaration. Lydia listened intently, her eyes flickering with a blend of concern and curiosity. "It sounds as though you're being called to remember who you really are," she said softly. "Perhaps there's a part of you that's been waiting for a chance to break free, and these alerts are the universe's way of tapping you on the shoulder." Her words resonated deeply with me, echoing a truth I had long suspected but never fully embraced. That night, as I returned home under a sky heavy with the promise of rain, I sat at my desk and began to write. I poured my thoughts onto paper, trying to untangle the labyrinth of emotions that had been set in motion by that one misdirected message. I recalled every detail, the sleek text alert that had appeared on my screen, the luxurious images that had accompanied it, and the stirring memories of nights I had once dared to dream of a life unrestrained by fear and convention. I wrote about the thrill of luxury dinners, the whispered allure of clandestine hotel check-ins, and the bittersweet nostalgia for a past self that had been both daring and vulnerable. With each word, I felt as though I was peeling away the layers of a carefully constructed facade, revealing a raw, unfiltered version of myself that I had long hidden from the world. As the days wore on, I made a conscious decision to no longer hide from the evidence of my secret life. I resolved to follow the trail left by these alerts, to revisit the places that had once been my clandestine playground, and to confront the duality of my existence head-on. I began planning discreet visits to the high-end establishments mentioned in the alerts, luxury restaurants where I had once dined in silence, and hotels where the sumptuous interiors had cradled my midnight escapes. With each visit, I sought to recapture the emotions of those fleeting moments, to understand whether they were relics of a past self or expressions of a part of me that had always longed for more. One particularly poignant evening, as twilight deepened into a velvety night, I found myself in an upscale bistro that had once been the stage for one of my secret dinners. The air was fragrant with the scent of fresh herbs and aged wine, and soft music played in the background, a gentle reminder of a time when every detail mattered. I sat at a secluded table by the window, watching as the world outside blurred into streams of passing lights. I ordered a meal that I remembered from one of my past rendezvous, and with each bite, I felt the echo of that hidden life resurface, a mix of exhilaration, nostalgia, and a deep yearning to understand the truth of my own desires. As I savored the flavors, my phone vibrated again, a new alert that was as sudden as it was unexpected. Reminder, private hotel check-in tomorrow at the Aurora Suite. The message was terse and clinical, but its implications were anything but. I stared at the screen, feeling both the weight of inevitability and the thrill of possibility. My heart pounded with the realization that the secret life I had kept buried was not only real but was continuing to write itself in real time. I felt a surge of adrenaline and a dawning clarity that this wasn't just about reliving past escapades, it was about reclaiming the hidden parts of me that had been muted by years of self-imposed restraint. In the solitude of that night, as I returned to my apartment, I allowed myself to confront the conflicting emotions swirling within me. I knew that the misdirected message and the subsequent alerts had shattered the comfortable illusion of normalcy, leaving me with a choice: to either retreat back into the safety of the mundane or to embrace the untamed, authentic self that yearned for freedom. I chose the latter. With a trembling hand, I opened my journal once more and began to document every sensation, every memory, every fear and hope that this revelation had evoked. I wrote of the loneliness that had once defined me, of the secret thrill of being invisible in a world that prized conformity, and of the longing for a life that sparkled with the promise of the extraordinary. That night marked the beginning of a transformation, a journey of self-discovery that would force me to reconcile the two halves of my existence. I knew that there would be challenges ahead, questions I might not want to answer, memories that could sting, and risks that might unearth truths too painful to bear. Yet, I also sensed that this was an opportunity to redefine who I was, to merge the cautious, everyday me with the daring, passionate soul that had always lurked in the shadows. The misdirected message was no accident. It was a catalyst, an uninvited yet welcome intrusion that compelled me to reclaim the narrative of my life. As I sit here now, in the quiet aftermath of that revelatory day, I feel a bittersweet mix of fear and exhilaration. The luxury dinners, the clandestine hotel check-ins, the secret app alerts, all of these are not just fragments of a hidden past but signals pointing toward a future of unapologetic authenticity. I know that my journey is far from over. Tomorrow, as I prepare for another private check-in at the Aurora Suite, I will step further into the unknown, ready to face whatever truths await me in the realm where my hidden desires and conscious self finally converge. For now, I close this chapter with a quiet determination to honor every part of who I am, even if it means embracing the risk of exposure. The misdirected alert has done more than just disrupt my routine. It has awakened a dormant passion and set me on a path where the extraordinary is not an escape from life, but life itself. I woke the next morning with the weight of revelation still heavy on my chest. The vivid images of luxury dinners, hushed check-ins, and midnight escapes played in slow motion behind my closed eyes. Every alert on my phone, the confirmations, the digital receipts, had forced me to confront a side of me that I had long buried beneath routines and self-imposed limitations. As the pale light of dawn crept through my window, I knew that I could no longer remain in denial. Today, I would venture further into the labyrinth of my hidden life. For the first few days after that fateful misdirected message, I wandered through my city as if it were both familiar and entirely new. The upscale boutiques, glittering hotel lobbies, and even the quiet corners of late-night diners now whispered secrets I was finally ready to listen to. I began by revisiting the places that had once been my clandestine playground, the Imperial Hotel, La Nuit Exquise, and a few other venues that my memory had barely clung to. With each visit, I found myself piecing together a timeline of indulgence and isolation, pleasure and pain. I wasn't merely retracing old footsteps, I was reclaiming lost chapters of my life. At the Imperial, I requested a private tour of the reservation records under variations of my name. The manager, a stately woman with compassionate eyes, hesitated before offering a few fragmented details. There was a period, she said quietly, when we noticed repeated bookings with minor alterations in the name. We understood it as a personal preference, a guest wishing to remain anonymous. But I must confess, there was an air of mystery around those reservations. Her words validated my suspicions. My hidden escapades had been meticulously recorded, perhaps even protected by a system designed to shield my identity. As I left, I felt both a sting of betrayal and a curious relief. The truth was out, and I was ready to embrace it. In the days that followed, my internal world became a fervent mix of anger, nostalgia, and a dawning sense of liberation. I spent long nights writing in my journal, where every word poured out like a confession. I recalled the moments when I'd slipped into luxurious suites under assumed identities, when I'd dined alone in chic restaurants and felt both the thrill of anonymity and the pain of isolation. I wrote about the delicate perfume of expensive cologne lingering in a hotel corridor, the soft murmur of a waiter describing a chef's secret recipe, and the ephemeral caress of a midnight breeze that carried both promise and regret. One night, compelled by a desire for closure, I decided to confront one of the most persistent enigmas of my secret life. I had received an alert confirming a private check-in at the Aurora Suite, an event that had become almost ritualistic in its recurrence. With trembling determination, I drove to the sleek, glass-encased building where the Aurora Suite was housed. The building itself exuded modern sophistication, its reflective surfaces capturing the city's neon glow and transforming it into a mosaic of light and shadow. I signed in at the reception with a forged smile, my heart pounding as I rode the elevator up to the reserved floor. When the door to my suite slid open, I was met with an interior that was both opulent and eerily familiar, a plush bed, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing the city below, and a single envelope resting on a polished side table. This envelope, sealed with a wax emblem I recognized from previous nights, bore a handwritten note. In elegant script, it read, "Dear Seeker, your journey has been long and full of hidden truths. Tonight, the final chapter awaits." Ah. The initial shock of the signature, sent my mind racing. Who was Ah? Had this person orchestrated all my secret rendezvous? The message urged me to wait. I sat on the edge of the bed, my pulse echoing in the silence, until a knock at the door broke the stillness. I opened the door to find a tall, impeccably dressed figure with warm, yet inscrutable eyes. "Good evening," he said, his voice both reassuring and commanding. "I am Richard. I believe you have many questions, and I'm here to help you understand." His presence was magnetic, a blend of authority and compassion that seemed to calm the storm inside me. Richard invited me to sit, and over the course of the next hour, he unraveled a narrative that was as intricate as it was unexpected. He explained that the secret app alerts were not a random glitch or a case of mistaken identity. Instead, they were the result of an exclusive membership program, one designed for individuals whose souls longed for the extraordinary. According to Richard, a select group of people, including myself, had been subtly identified as having an inherent hunger for beauty and passion. "You see," he began, "the world we live in often demands that we wear masks of conformity. But there exists an undercurrent, a hidden society that believes in the transformative power of indulgence and mystery. We offer our members discreet access to luxury experiences, a safe space to explore the parts of themselves that they have been forced to hide." As Richard spoke, I felt my own memories shift from vague recollections of guilt and fear to a profound recognition of the vitality that had always resided within me. He spoke of the careful balance between secrecy and self-discovery, of how each luxury dinner and every clandestine check-in had been designed not merely to seduce the senses, but to awaken a dormant part of the soul. "The alerts," he said softly, "are a way of reminding you that life is not meant to be lived in grayscale. It is meant to be experienced in full, vibrant color, even if that color is only visible to those brave enough to see it." Richard's words resonated deeply, and for the first time in months, I felt a tentative sense of peace. The accusations of deceit that had once tormented me began to dissipate, replaced by an understanding that the experiences, no matter how secret, were an intrinsic part of who I was. He explained that the program had been started by a collective of visionaries who believed in the healing power of unbridled passion. Over the years, they had cultivated a network of luxury establishments, discreet reservations, and meticulously arranged encounters that offered members an escape from the tyranny of routine. Each alert I had received was a deliberate invitation to step into a realm where art, beauty, and desire converged, a realm where every moment was a deliberate act of self-affirmation. As the evening deepened, Richard led me to a private lounge within the hotel suite, a place that seemed to exist outside of time, filled with plush seating, soft music, and the gentle murmur of subdued conversations. There, amid the quiet opulence, he introduced me to a small group of fellow members, each with their own story of hidden trysts, of nights spent chasing moments of forbidden ecstasy, and of battles fought against the drab conformity of their daily lives. In their eyes, I saw reflections of my own struggles and desires, a tapestry of human complexity woven with threads of regret, passion, and the relentless hope for transformation. One by one, they recounted their journeys. There was Isabella, whose luminous smile belied years of heartache, and who found solace in the elegance of midnight dinners. There was James, a reserved but soulful man who had discovered that the clandestine check-ins were a means to reconnect with a lost part of his identity. And there was Marisol, whose vibrant spirit had once been dimmed by routine, only to be reignited by the transformative power of these secret escapes. Their stories, raw and unfiltered, affirmed that the luxury experiences were not just indulgences, they were rituals of self-discovery, acts of rebellion against a life that sought to suppress the brilliant chaos of our inner worlds. As the night wore on, I found myself drawn into a conversation with Richard about the future. "What do we do once we've experienced this transformation?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper in the quiet sanctuary of the lounge. "How do we merge the exhilarating truth of our hidden lives with the responsibilities of our everyday existence?" Richard regarded me thoughtfully before answering. "The key," he said, "is integration. The program was never meant to create a permanent division between your public and private self. Rather, it is designed to awaken you to the limitless potential that lies within, so that you can live more fully in every aspect of your life. Yes, the luxury, the mystery, the secret dinners, they are powerful. But their true purpose is to remind you that you are capable of experiencing life in all its brilliant, messy, and beautiful dimensions. Those words sparked something inside me, a fierce determination to no longer live in halves, to no longer hide the vibrant, passionate self that had been cloaked in secrecy. Over the following days, I began the painstaking work of integrating my hidden desires with my conscious life. I revisited places that had once been mere markers of my secret escapades. I began to dress with renewed confidence, choosing pieces that celebrated my newfound authenticity. I reached out to those who had once been my silent accomplices in the night, forging connections that were built on mutual understanding and shared dreams. Each evening, as I checked my phone, the alerts no longer filled me with dread or confusion. Instead, they served as gentle reminders, a quiet tap on the shoulder from a universe that believed I was capable of more. I learned to balance the exhilarating freedom of midnight trysts with the grounded responsibilities of daylight. I allowed myself to be seen, to be vulnerable, and to celebrate every facet of who I was. One unforgettable night, I attended an exclusive gala hosted by the program, a celebration of transformation, where members gathered to share their journeys and to honor the profound changes in their lives. Dressed in an elegant gown that shimmered with every movement, I mingled with people who, like me, had once lived in the shadows but were now stepping boldly into the light. There were moments of joyful laughter, tearful confessions, and silent understanding that transcended words. I danced under sparkling chandeliers, feeling the pulsating rhythm of life and the promise of endless possibility. As the gala drew to a close, I found myself standing on a balcony overlooking the city. The night was alive with 1,000 lights, each one a symbol of hope and resilience. I felt a deep, abiding gratitude for the strange, misdirected message that had set this entire journey in motion. It had forced me to confront the duality of my existence, to question the boundaries between shame and desire, and ultimately, to embrace a life that was rich with complexity and beauty. In the quiet aftermath of that transformative night, I sat down to write one final entry in my journal, a testament to the metamorphosis that had taken place. I wrote of the fear that had once held me captive, of the exhilarating liberation I had discovered in the hidden trysts of midnight, and of the profound truth that the luxury and secrecy were not means of escape but gateways to a deeper, more authentic life. I pledged to live with integrity, to merge the bold, passionate self with the responsible, everyday me, and to honor every experience as a stepping stone toward a more complete understanding of who I truly was. Now, as I look back on that incredible journey, I realize that the misdirected message and the cascade of secret app alerts were not merely coincidences, they were the universe's way of reminding me that life is meant to be lived in its fullest, most vibrant expression. The luxury dinners, the clandestine hotel check-ins, the hidden nights of passion, they were all part of a larger tapestry, a story of transformation that continues to unfold with each new day. As I prepare to step into a future where my hidden truths and public self coexist in harmony, I feel an unwavering sense of purpose and excitement. I have learned that embracing the full spectrum of my identity, both the light and the shadow, is the key to living a life of genuine fulfillment. Every alert on my phone is now a symbol of possibility, every secret rendezvous a reminder that I am capable of extraordinary change. With this newfound clarity, I close my journal and take one last look at the city below, its myriad lights a testament to the infinite potential of every soul. I step forward into the day, ready to face whatever adventures lie ahead, with a heart unafraid to love, to dream, and to live unreservedly.